Howdy y'all, Bourbon86X here, and welcome back to Arrakis. So this episode is going to be a little different than what we normally do because I lost all the audio, as you may have seen in the post I made on YouTube, and so I'm having to do this voiceover after the fact. So I'm going to do the best I can. I've never done this before, so just bear with me. It's a learning experience. So as you can see, we got the map up, and in this episode what we're going to do is we are going to map out the gap. So what we'll need to do is, you can see we have a fog of war up covering most of the map except what we've explored, the little bit that we've explored on foot. So the first thing we're going to need to do is first of all, we're gonna check and make sure our shield's still good, and as you can see, it could use a little bit some fuel cells. So we are going to, what I'm actually talking about here originally is how when I was recording this video I was about to go on vacation, so I knew I would need to top up my power generator just to make sure that, you know, when I was out of town, my generator wouldn't go down. But first, we do need to create our fabricator so we can make a, I believe it's called a beacon. So that's what we're doing here. We're going to create a fabricator, and we see that we need some metal. I need some metal, so I'm gonna have to learn to stop saying we. Like I said, this is a learning experience, so bear with me. All of my future videos will be back to the regularly scheduled everything live. Okay, so looking around for some scrap metal, and gonna hop on my bike and let's see what I can find. Had trouble backing out there. Funny thing is, oh, there's some scrap metal right there, and that should be enough to get us a fabricator. But what I was gonna in real life, I'm terrible at backing up. There's been multiple times when, not so much lately, especially since backup cameras are standard in pretty much all modern cars, but back in the day when I drove a big old tank of an LTD Crown Vic, like a 92, when I was in high school, I sucked at backing that thing up, and I did back into a couple of ditches. Alright, so we got us some fuel cells, we got some scrap metal, and now we're going to head back to the base and deposit the fuel cells, and then we're going to get a fabricator so we can get a, I can't remember what it's called, but it's the beaking, it's right on the tip of my tongue. But you guys know what I mean. The scanner beacon, or we launch it off into the air and it scans the area. Surveying beacon. Okay, so we got the fabricator up and running, and we're checking surveying, and we have enough to make it, so let's go ahead and do that. Gonna try to make the screen a little bit bigger just so I can read everything. Okay, so we do have some attribute points to spend. We do have Mountaineer, which is going to help us. It's under the Planetologist skill line. It's going to help us climb mountains, which is going to be super important. Super important when it comes to getting up high enough to launch this surveying beacon. Okay, and the suspensor pad, that's going to be a big deal as well. That's going to help us out a lot. Okay, and I have no idea what I was doing here, so like I said, bear with me. I'm just going over the sugar wire claw. So the sugar wire claw is going to help us as well. Alrighty. Okay, so we are ready to head out and survey, and this is going to be interesting because when I tried to do this on my personal save, the one I pay for my own personal enjoyment, the climbing the mountain was very difficult to get high enough, and I would almost get to where I needed to be, and then I'd run out of stamina and have to fall down. All I can say is the suspensor belt has been a huge help throughout this whole process. So if you don't have one of these before you attempt this, make sure you get it, because it's going to save you a lot of grief. Okay, so this pillar here is definitely tall enough, but the question is, am I going to be able to make it to the top? Making sure here that I do have a suspensor belt. It would help if I just like looked over to the side. It's right there, already in my inventory, and now I see it, passive suspensor belt. Just making sure, because like I said, it is vital to have one of these when you're attempting these high climbs, because it's really hard to judge the distance of like what you're gonna need. Sometimes not so much on this save, but I did feel that on previous saves, on my personal save, that sometimes it would feel inconsistent. Like I'd feel like I'd get higher up, but then it would tell me I needed more than the previous rock. Maybe I was just imagining that. I'm not sure. But yeah, I don't think I'm, with my stamina pool being at where it is. As you can see, my hydration's good, so I pretty much have all the stamina. The full stamina bar plus a little bit of a bonus stamina from being hydrated. And another thing is, like, some places it looks like you could stand and kind of catch a breather. You can't actually do it, and you'll release the rock and then you'll just fall. But I'm not even like, you would think like this one I'm coming up on now, maybe you could stand on it, but as you can see, nope. You just fall right on down. Oh well. Okay, so I don't think I'm going to be able to make it up that one, so what I'm going to do is head over to another rock. And as you can see, I'm also getting a bit of sunstroke here. Need to get into the shadows and cool down. Okay, so I'm thinking this one will be a little easier. Definitely got some places you can grab a little bit better of a foothold here, and this one's kind of, that overhang is going to be a little tricky, as you can see. It's bouncing right back off and falling all the way back down. So yeah, I'm going to try again. I really do like the kind of jumping up the rock. I don't know if that uses more stamina. I'm guessing it uses a bit more than just normal slow climbing, but okay, so now I'm trying the suspensor pad and I bounce right back off. And I go even further down. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of take a peek around here, see if there's a place where I can kind of get away from that overhang. So I'm gonna try this spot here. It looks a little more promising. Alright, looking good so far. Oh man, that was almost bad. Almost bounced right off again. Overheating again. This time, I'm gonna make it up. Yeah, this one can be tricky. I don't know if anybody has watched. So I was trying to like see if I could get into that little overhang and use the shade to cool down, and I am able to kind of work my way into the shadow of the rock. But I don't know if anybody's watched Angar's video. That his experience kind of mimics mine originally. I do a little bit better here, but I really struggle with this. You know, maybe the experience of having done it before made it easier this second time. Okay, we're launching the surveying probe. And it's just going to take about 20 plus seconds to survey the area. Always love this effect. It's really cool looking. Okay, I'm taking a screenshot here just while the HUD went away as a potential title card for the YouTube video. Alright, so we have the gap surveyed, and now I'm just gonna kind of get out of the sun, cool down a bit. So now we got the map up, and as you can see, the eastern Vermilius Gap is completely revealed to us. As well as, so we'll have some points of interest, we have quests showing up, we see all the drum sand scattered about the open sand there. So yeah, mission successful. Alrighty, so what I'm gonna do next is gonna head back down the base, and I will bring you guys back. We're gonna check on this real quick. So I was gonna do this contract here, which is I believe the first Harkonnen contract, but we'll talk about what we're gonna do when we get back to base, and I will see you guys very, very shortly. See you then. Alright, so welcome back. So what I'm doing here is so we have taxes due, and we need to pay them. So I was going to continue the contracts, but I think what we're going to do instead, after we dump off some fuel cells, is we are going to head over to the anvil, and we're going to hop on an ornithopter, and we're going to head to Harko Village, and we're going to pay his taxes. But before we do that, so I don't have to leave my bike behind, we are actually going to make a backup tool for the bike. So the first step is to research that. Okay. Then we should have enough materials to go ahead and craft that in the fabricator. And we do. So let's get that going. Alright, let's hop on our back. Let's hop on our back. I said it again. Let's hop on our bike and clumsily leave our base, and then let's head over to the anvil so we can travel to Harko Village. And I know I've said it before, and I've seen, you know, this game get a bit of hate online, especially for people who haven't played it, but from people who played it as well, that say it's, you know, it looks outdated. But I feel like Funcom had done a really great job in making it's a gorgeous game. And I'm not even playing it with the highest settings. I am playing it on ultra for the most part, with a few settings maybe turned down because of my system specs. But the game is gorgeous, and it looks great. And I do feel like they've done a great job at balancing it running well on a lot of systems with a little, you know, DLSS and frame generations carrying, you know, some of the weight, shouldering some of the weight there. But the game was great, and kudos to Funcom, because there are so many games I've played with running on Unreal Engine 5 that just, I don't know, man, they just don't feel great to play on a weaker system like that.
Sandstorm is approaching.
And that's not just speaking to, you know, like the inherent issues with the engine, that, you know, the stuttering that happens in a vast majority of Unreal Engine 5 games. Okay, so we're heading up on the anvil now. Okay, so let's store our vehicle. However, when I do try, I'm going to run into a bit of an issue, as I do have items stored in the vehicle. Then I hop back on instead of opening the inventory. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to take some of the more valuable items here. That's things that are, you know, that take a bit more effort to get. Not necessarily super difficult to get, but more effort than, say, the micro sandwich fiber. And you can just go to any cave and find bootcoodles of that.
Sector weather alert.
But I'll end up taking it anyway because I had the space. Alright, so now we got the vehicle backed up. I do love this tool because it really does. And there's the journey complete. But it really does help out that be able to do that, you know, if you're out and about. And so we do have a sandstorm coming in. And that kind of ties into what I was just saying. You know, if you're going into a place and you don't know if a sandstorm's going to hit because you're going to be gone a while, it's great to be able to back up that. Like if you're heading into a, you know, a dungeon area, like a, you know, one of the Imperial testing stations. You know, you can back up the video, back up the bike, so you can make sure that the sandstorm doesn't damage it or even destroy it while you're inside. Very cool tool. Alright, so now I'm just looking over some skills. I do have an extra skill point, seeing if there's anything that I want to learn. Looking at the voice training, which improves the voice, and I go ahead and take that. Okay, so now we're going to select taxation, so that when we get over to Harko Village, we can complete the journey for paying our Imperial taxes.
Sector weather alert. A large sandstorm is approaching.
And you guys, I know it's not going to really matter to you guys, but DaVinci Resolve is really freaking me out because the line that is showing my voice for the voiceover, it's kind of, it disappears after a minute. So I'm hoping that this past, 18 minutes I've been recording voiceover, I'm not going to replay it and it's all gone. Hopefully it's just a quirk of the UI of DaVinci Resolve. So we got the sandstorm has hit and the doors have shut, but it's almost passed. Just a cool little detail, you know, that kind of adds to the I was going to try to say, what is the word?
You got somewhere you need to be. I can fly you there.
I'm going to mispronounce it, but just the
music to my
feeling
ears.
of the world.
Where do you want to go? Well, the Harkonnens love their docking fees, so that's going to cost a little extra. Well, all right. Doctor's on the roof. Let's get out of here.
All right, let's go. All right, and here we are, Harko Village. So I just want to say I really do love the aesthetic of the Harkonnens. You know, they may be terrible, terrible people, which is probably putting it mildly considering some of the things the Baron does. Things that, if you haven't read the books, things that are kind of only hinted at in the movie are laid out more explicitly in the books. But anyway, the Harkonnens are terrible. But man, if they don't have style when it comes to their architecture, just like this grim, brutal look to their architecture. It's really impressive. Where, you know, the Atreides kind of just look like, you know, your standard desert sci-fi buildings kind of thing. Alright, so we're looking for the Imperial Tax office, which is gonna be a lion. But as you can see, I'm kind of struggling to find it. This is my first time in Harko Village, so going in blind. I haven't seen any gameplay video of Harko Village. This is literally my first experience. Got the cool, like, whale skeleton hologram. Then we got, everything's just so impressive. Okay, so there we go. We're looking. So when you first go into a village to pay your taxes, that's what you're looking for. The rotating lion's head. And here we are. They're gonna make you walk. You can't just, you know, anything. As with anything that has anything to do with bureaucracy, they're not gonna make it easy. You're gonna have to run all the way back to the back.
Welcome, fellow citizen. How is it that the Imperial Tax Administratum can assist you today?
Okay, so as you know, so paying your taxes it's kind of a way to help. One, I guess it makes it more immersive. But, you know, because, you know, Dune's all about bureaucracy and everything. But also it's another way to kind of make sure that people who quit playing their bases don't just stay littering the landscape of Arrakis. Alright, so what we're going to do next, as you can see, we have another journey to complete. We're going to head over to the bank and we're going to deposit some of our hard-earned Solari into our bank account. And the cool thing about this, so when you do, so I'm just switching over to journey. So the cool thing about this is when you, even if they're in your bank account, if you need to use them to purchase weapons or items from a shop throughout Arrakis, you can use the money you have stored in your bank account. I think you can also store other things like valuable items and everything, but I haven't really fooled around with that. Okay, so we got that taken care of. Alright, so folks, I think that's going to do it for this episode. So we surveyed the gap and got that whole section of the Eastern Vermilius Gap opened up to us on the map, and we also paid our taxes and deposited some money in our bank account. Beyond that, y'all, if you enjoy this content, please make sure you smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. Again, I'm Bourbon86X, and I will see everyone back on Arrakis very, very soon. Thank you so much for watching. Peace out, y'all.
Remember the sacrifices made to